The glass doors of Cornerstone National Bank swung open at exactly 9:15 on a Tuesday morning, and Vivian Hayes stepped inside with a leather briefcase in one hand and a certified check for $200,000 in the other. She wore a simple navy dress, her hair pulled back neatly, her expression calm despite the weight of what she carried. The lobby was pristine, all marble floors and chrome fixtures, with 5 taller windows stretching across the back wall. Only 2 were open. Vivian walked to the nearest one, where a man in his mid-30s sat behind the counter, his name tag reading Marcus read in bold letters. "Good morning," Vivian said, sliding the check under the glass partition. "I need to make a deposit, please." Marcus glanced up from his computer screen, and his expression shifted the moment he saw her. His eyes narrowed. He picked up the check with 2 fingers, as if it might contaminate him, and held it up to the light. $200,000. His voice dripped with disbelief. "Where did you get this?" Vivian kept her composure. "It is a certified check from my business accounts. Everything is legitimate." "Sure it is." Marcus set the check down and leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. "You got some identification?" She produced her driver's license and a business card. Marcus barely looked at them. "This does not look right," he announced loudly, loud enough that other customers turned to stare. "I am going to need to verify this with my manager." "And security." "That is your job," Vivian replied evenly. "Please, go ahead." Marcus picked up his phone, pressing a button with exaggerated slowness. "Patricia, I got a situation at window 3. Suspicious check, real suspicious. Yeah, you better come out here. And send Jerry too." Within seconds, a woman in a gray suit emerged from a back office, her heels clicking sharply against the marble. Patricia Cole had been the branch manager for 6 years, and her face wore the permanent expression of someone who had dealt with too many problems and not enough solutions. "What seems to be the trouble?" Patricia asked, though her tone suggested she had already made up her mind. "This woman is trying to deposit a check for $200,000, Marcus said, practically spitting the words. "No way that is real. Look at her, Patricia. Does she look like she has that kind of money?" A security guard, a heavy-set man named Jerry, positioned himself near Vivian, his hand resting on his belt. Vivian felt the eyes of every person in that bank boring into her. An elderly couple by the deposit slips whispered to each other. A young man in a business suit smirked. A mother pulled her daughter closer, as if poverty or criminality might be contagious. "Ma'am, I am going to have to ask you to step aside," Patricia said, her voice cold and clipped. "We cannot process this transaction until we investigate its origin." "Investigate," Vivian repeated. "The check is certified. It has been verified by the issuing bank. What exactly are you investigating?" "Your attitude is not helping your case," Marcus interrupted, standing now, his chest puffed out. "Maybe we should call the police. Have them run your name through the system. See what pops up." Patricia nodded. "That might be necessary. Jerry, keep an eye on her. Make sure she does not try to leave." The humiliation was complete. Vivian stood there, surrounded by suspicious stares and whispered judgments, treated like a criminal for the simple act of depositing her own money into her own bank. But Vivian Hayes had not come unprepared. She reached into her purse, slowly and deliberately, and pulled out her cell phone. Marcus tensed, and Jerry stepped forward, but Vivian held up one finger. "I need to make a phone call," she said quietly. "Just one call. Then we can clear this up." "Make it quick," Patricia snapped. "And put it on speaker. I want to hear what kind of story you are cooking up." Vivian dialed a number she had memorized 3 months ago, when the acquisition had been finalized. The phone rang twice before a crisp, professional voice answered. "Office of Federal Banking Oversight, Director Chen speaking." The lobby went silent. Director Chen, this is Vivian Hayes, she said, her voice steady and clear. I am currently at the Cornerstone National Branch on 5th Street. I am being refused service and detained by security because the staff here does not believe I have the authority to deposit funds into my own institution. I need you to send a team immediately and bring the documentation. Understood, Miss Hayes. We are 6 minutes away. The regional compliance officers are already en route. Vivian ended the call and slipped her phone back into her purse. Then she looked at Marcus, whose face had gone pale, and Patricia, whose mouth had fallen open. You might want to unlock your manager's office, Vivian said calmly. They are going to need access to the personnel files. 4 minutes later, 3 black sedans pulled up outside the bank, their lights flashing but their sirens silent. 6 people in dark suits entered the lobby, led by a woman with silver hair and sharp eyes. She carried a briefcase that looked far more official than Vivian's. Miss Hayes, the woman said, extending her hand. I am Director Chen. I apologize for the treatment you have received here today. It is unacceptable. Patricia found her voice. Wait, who are you people? What is going on? Director Chen turned to face her, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. I am the Federal Director of Banking Compliance for this region. And this, she gestured to Vivian, is Vivian Hayes, the primary shareholder of Cornerstone National Bank. She acquired 68% of the outstanding shares through Hayes Capital Group 3 months ago. Which means, Miss Cole, that she owns this bank. And you just refused service to your own employer. The color drained from Marcus's face. Patricia swayed slightly, gripping the counter for support. That is impossible, Marcus whispered. She cannot be what? Vivian asked, her voice sharp now, cutting through the shock. Cannot be successful. Cannot be wealthy. Cannot be the person who signs your paychecks. One of the compliance officers stepped forward, opening his tablet. We have been monitoring this branch for the past 6 weeks, following anonymous complaints about discriminatory practices. Miss Hayes' visit today was a final test. You failed spectacularly. We have recordings of 17 separate incidents, another officer added, where customers of color were subjected to additional scrutiny, longer wait times, and outright hostility compared to white customers with identical or lesser credentials. Your employment here is terminated, effective immediately. Security will escort you out. Marcus tried to speak, but no words came. Patricia's hands trembled as she removed her manager's pin. Jerry, the security guard, stepped away from Vivian. His face flushed with shame. Vivian watched them go, watched as they gathered their belongings under the supervision of federal officers, watched as the people who had humiliated her just minutes ago were walked out of the building like the criminals they had accused her of being. When the lobby was clear, Vivian turned to the remaining staff, who stood frozen at their stations. Effective immediately, she announced, her voice carrying through the marble hall, this branch will undergo a complete overhaul. Every employee will be retrained on fair lending practices and anti-discrimination protocols. We will establish a community outreach program to rebuild trust with the customers we have failed. And we will hire a diverse team of managers who understand that respect is not determined by the color of someone's skin, but by the content of their character. The elderly couple who had whispered earlier approached Vivian, their faces filled with remorse. We are so sorry, the woman said. We should have said something. We should have stood up for you. Vivian smiled, the first genuine smile she had allowed herself all morning. Then stand up for the next person. That is how we change things. One moment of courage at a time. As the morning sun streamed through the glass doors of Cornerstone National Bank, Vivian Hayes stood in the center of the lobby she now owned, surrounded by people who were beginning to understand that justice, when it arrives, can be swift and absolute, and in that moment, Hope felt less like a dream and more like a promise finally kept.